So in the previous video, we created a mobile fixed footer using FlexBox and position fixed. Okay, that's great. However, we want this site to be, it should work correctly on either a mobile device or also a desktop, right? Which would mean that this browser would likely be much larger, right? And although the navigation on the bottom is a good design pattern for mobile because your thumbs are typically on the bottom of the screen, it's not that great for the web, right? Typically on the web you'll have navigation that is more on the top or say like on the left hand side because we read left to right, so that's usually where you want to go. But we don't want to create two different websites. We don't want to create a mobile website. We don't want to create a desktop website. We just want to create one website that works the way it needs to, and what's called responsive design. It responds to the available constraints, like size constraints of your screen, right? So we started off with mobile, and we're doing that because we're taking a mobile first approach. And that means we're going to have to check to see when the screen size is actually large enough for this menu to change, right? So to do that, we're going to start using what's called media queries. So inside of your CSS, over here at the bottom, we'll say media only. And then here you're gonna set your type. So if you go to the different types of mediums that they support, there's things like screen, there's screen, print, braille. There's a bunch. The one that you typically use is screen, and then you write and here's where you're just gonna set your condition, right? And the condition that we're gonna set is we're gonna say if we're at a min width, right? If the screen is a min width of 400 pixels, right? Then we're going to basically the rules that we set here are going to work for the higher the desktop version, right? Which means, so right now we have all these rules that we set for the mobile version. So now we have to create the overrides that are going to happen for the desktop version. And because they're overrides, remember that this CSS code gets read from top to bottom. So the media query can only override the things that have happened already, or else they will get overridden by the things that happen later. So here we're going to start off by saying, well, the first thing we want to do is we don't want it to be sticky, right? So let's just say over here we have a nav and we have position fixed. So let's override just that, right? So we'll just say nav and we'll say position relative, okay? So that would do, let's see, it's now if I refresh this, see now it's on top, and that's weird. So media only screen and min width. Oh, sorry. We'll say 480 because this doesn't get to 400. So okay. So now if I move this over, see now it goes down if it's less than 480, and it goes up if it's more than 480. So we are on a roll right now, and realize that the reason why it moves up is because I made it relative, right? And it's going to be relative to the place that it is in the HTML. And if you look here, the aside is on top of the content, right? If this aside was somewhere else, then it would become relative to where it is there. So I'm assuming, so if I go here and I move it, like let's just say I move it below here, and I were to refresh this, then you'll see now when it's relative there, and then it sticks back, right? So, but I want it to be on top, so let's move that back on top and save. And now we check this again, and okay, it's working the same way. Okay, So let's see, what else could we do here? One of the things that so here like these are now, because my menus are like really spread out now, so I probably want them to just be sort of next to each other and kind of just floating over here on the left. So let's do that. So we'll go back over here to our media query, and we're going to create a couple more overrides. So we'll say nav. We'll say inside of the nav there's a UL. So here's the nav, and inside there's a UL. And what we have going on here is we've made this a flex display, and we have, so it is a flex display, and it's using space around. So that's what's creating this space over here. So we don't want that space around. This is what we want to override here. So let's take this and let's move that in here. And instead of saying space around, let's do something else. Let's do flex start. Okay. And that now, see, now everything moved over to the side. Now if I move it to a browser size, now it goes over. Now it becomes space around again. Now if I go over 480, now it moves over to the side. But we want to, now it's all squished, so let's just do something to make that look a little bit better. So we'll say nav, inside of nav there are LIs, right? And we will make these, let's just do something simple, just do something like padding, I'll say 20 px, right? So put 20 padding around, and now we have space. And there you go, that's it. So we now created a responsive navigation system.